Peace to the gods. I'm glad you are here, child of sun. It does tell me that one does still verily seek to understand more of the knowledge of self. That one seeks to become more of thyself. That one truly seeks freedom from his own soul, freedom from his lower self, his carnal nature, his material form, so he can truly see what he is made of, to see his true form, to know his name that cannot be named, to what he shall become, what he can become. Dear reader, for what is freedom? That one has the will to assume responsibility for oneself, that one maintains the distance which separates us, that one becomes indifferent to difficulties, hardships, privation, even to life itself, that one is prepared to sacrifice human beings for one's cause, not excluding oneself. Freedom means that the Mali instructs which delight in war and victory dominate over other instincts, for example, over those of pleasure. The free man is a warrior, writes Friedrich Nietzsche. In the Nietzsche modality of thought, the wise man has to ask, how is freedom measured? The wise man under this mind of thought would say, extreme, moderate, and/or minuscule resistance must be overcome, to remain on top at least. See, Nietzsche would argue that the highest type of free man should be sought where the highest resistance is constantly overcome. So to be free, listener, one must be strong. That is the first principle. One must strong. Otherwise, one will never become strong. Let us explore this idea of freedom from other lenses that exist in the world of men. Child of dawn, the notion of freedom is indeed a profound and multifaceted concept, echoing through the annals of time. In the ancient texts and wisdom of various traditions, freedom often connotes not just the absence of external constraints, but the liberation of the soul from its inner chains. The Bhagavad Gita, a scripture dear to many, speaks of this higher freedom when Krishna tells Arjuna, "He who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires." Bhagavad Gita 2:70. Freedom, therefore, is realized through self-discipline and the conquest of one's own lower instincts. It involves assuming responsibility, not only for oneself, but also for the impact of one's actions on the broader view of life. In Stoic philosophy, as espoused by Epictetus, we learn that true freedom lies in controlling our perceptions and desires. Is anyone compelling you to feel distress, compulsion, envy? Does any man possess the power to compel you to do what is contrary to your opinion? In the words of Yahshua, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. This freedom through truth signifies the liberation from ignorance, falsehood, and the illusions that bind our souls. To measure freedom, one must look beyond the material realm, beyond the mere ability to act without external restraint. True freedom is found within the soul's embrace of wisdom, virtue, and truth. It manifests in the unwavering strength to face hardships with equanimity, the courage to love unconditionally, and the wisdom to discern the higher path amidst life's myriad temptations. In the final tally, freedom is the mastery over oneself, the alignment with one's higher purpose, and the unyielding pursuit of truth, even if it requires sacrifice, as the writer has noted. It is the state of being where the soul dwells in harmony, even amidst the chaos of the world, a state beautifully encapsulated in the teachings of various spiritual traditions. So, measure freedom not by the absence of chains, but by the soul's ascent. But you then would have to ask, what do I mean by measuring freedom by the soul's ascent? Repetition of truth is good for the soul of man. So we read in Romans 10:17, faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ, in Greek meaning logos. Liberation from material desires. In many spiritual traditions, true freedom is perceived as liberation from the chains of material desires and attachments. The Bhagavad Gita, for instance, underscores the importance of detachment from the fruits of action. One who is unattached to the results of his work and who works as he is obligated is the true renunciant and yogi, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. Bhagavad Gita 6:1. Transcendence of ego. The soul's ascent often involves the transcendence of the ego, leading to a realization of one's unity with all that is. In Buddhist philosophy, the dissolution of the self, or ego, is essential for attaining nirvana, a state of ultimate freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth, samsara. Come to learn this knowledge, child of the sun, for it will fulfill you and keep you out of harm's way, or at least prepare you on how to define yourself against evil. With knowledge, O child of light, the body purifies itself. It elevates itself. In the elevated, the soul becomes ecstatic and filled with ecstasy. Now leave this video upright and with the voice erect. Now I bid you farewell. Lose me and find yourselves. With different eyes will you come to see yourself.